action. Good evening or good morning whenever you're watching this. This is a presentation by Kim Goodburn 6080105 about Ask FM. So Ask FM is a website that was founded back in 2010, which later became popular worldwide in 2012 and 2013. And similarly to all successful web apps and websites, it later was developed into a mobile application for all users to download, whether in the App Store or in Google Play at that time. So what exactly is Ask FM? Well, Ask FM is actually a social media platform that is in the format of a question and answer. So users are able to create accounts and view other profiles as well as ask them questions, which the founders of the company believe that by having this platform allows people within the community to learn more about themselves, as they have mentioned in their page that how you engage with friends and express yourself on Ask FM is done through the lens of what your social connections are curious to learn about you. So it sounds like a pretty good idea, so that people actually can communicate and actually talk about things that they don't actually know about each other. And the main selling point is having this anonymous mode for users to ask questions without having to worry about the receiver knowing who they actually are. So this could mean you could ask questions that you wouldn't dare ask in person. It might be something sensitive, or it might be something that, might be kinda, not so usual in your daily life, and you would like to ask them in private, but you still don't want them to know who you are. However, this site brought up a very dark side of the society. So, the teenagers that you currently see on screen are victims of suicides, and they all are linked to Ask FM. So within 3 years of the site opening up, there were 9 reported suicides across the UK directly linked to the site. And all those teens were victims of cyberbullying, which, as you can see on the right hand side of the screen, that is an actual screenshot of one of the victims' profile, and you can see that people were actually insulting her and threatening her and telling her to commit suicide, which is absolutely horrible. And yeah, Ask FM became a very, very toxic environment where teens were allowed to send nasty insults and threats to one another without, you can be without authorization, and nobody knows who you are. And this led to many kids going into depression and or committing suicide. And this was purely off of the weak privacy settings on the site and the lack of identity control. So when you sign up, you don't have to really care about entering real information. You can actually just spoof anything up and you can have an account on there, and they won't really track down if you're real or not. And users also couldn't delete their account and actually just completely delete it. It's only temporarily disabled, where you can still actually see the posts and stuff made on the profile. I actually had an account back in 2012 when this all was going on, and I couldn't delete it completely until only a couple of years back, which I still had images of my girlfriend back then and other information that I was sharing at that time still at large when I actually wanted to get rid of it, which is something that I feel like is very, very bad about this site. And I also tried to find out why this led to many teenagers committing suicides. And according to the Institute of Mental Health in the UK, they said that the teenager's brain is not as fully developed as a adult's. So the frontal lobe, which is where the judgments and the insight and the impulse control is being controlled by the brain, in a teenager's it's not as developed. So the judgments that they make are not as rational and not as concise as an adult. So therefore they might, impulsively think that suicides is a solution for what they're going through, which is why the site needs to take more initiative in preventing this. And also, I also checked out on their privacy settings, and I saw that the site actually, whether it's the app or whether the website, actually takes a lot of information from you. They take your name, address, zip code, payment information, and phone number. It's actually a free site, so therefore payment info is not necessary, but they still ask for that, and that seems really fishy. And also they take a lot of hardware information, such as the IP address, the unique device identifier, and device browser types. So actually information about your device that you're using and preferences on your device. That's actually a lot of information that they're using. And of course, as we may know, that we also know that IP address can find a lot of information about yourself, and it is not hard to track down more information about you. And also, when you are not logged on, they can still get those information. So even if you sign in as a guest without giving your name and all the other information, they can still access your IP address and unique device identifier, which is, and they don't really tell you that they're taking that unless you actually dive into the terms and conditions. And also they said in the terms and conditions that if you link a social media account, similarly to any social media platform now, you are allowed to sign in with either a Google account or a Facebook account. They are able to access all the information that you have put out on those social media. So therefore all your friends' contacts, all your contacts, all your abouts info, they have it. And also, upon looking deeper into their site, they actually said that their site is not 100% secure and is prone to attacks. So therefore you are wrong to think that all your data on their site will not get leaked and is completely secure. That is completely not true. And lastly, if you ever wondered what the .fm in the name meant, that is the domain that they use for that site. So it basically is the address where people can access the site from, and in which .fm is located in Latvia. It's a very unusual place and a very unusual domain for a very popular site. And basically, this means that the laws that the site abide by are completely different from the one where you are accessing from. So you may be in the UK and accessing this website where there are laws and regulations on cybersecurity in the UK, but there aren't those laws in Latvia. Therefore, if anything bad actually happens, such as the suicides, and the parent try to sue the company for causing the death of their children, they can actually not do that because the laws are not the same. So Ask FM then officially became a truly toxic platform for any teen to access, and it was so bad that actually it was talked about in my PHSE classes when I was in secondary school, and all the teachers were advising us to stay away from the site as it has led to suicides, depression, and it is just a very, very toxic place to be. So, are they really to blame? Well, however, 2 days after the reported death of Hannah Smith, the most famous case of suicide, which newspapers around the world covered, the Ask FM Twitter page were celebrating their 70 million users. It made them seem like they didn't care about what had happened at all, and the parents were absolutely enraged. So they also claimed later on, not too long afterwards, according to a Daily Mail report, they claimed that Hannah Smith sent the messages to herself, and she abused herself rather than other people sending her messages, which made her parents even more enraged and angry at them. And they even said that, like, Ask FM were literally dancing on Hannah's grave. However, not long after that, one of the founders, called Mark Terabins, posted a statement on his Twitter saying that basically Ask FM is not at fault, but instead the bullies were. So all the teenagers who were bullying others were to be blamed for the suicides, and that they should educate children more that bullying is absolutely not acceptable. And he also suggested that the mass media was trying to normalize suicides by making all this fuss about this site making kids commit suicide, and that he doesn't want to be part of that normalization. So what he said is actually partly true, but still there are flaws in the website, and it is after all a platform for kids to be bullied online. So as I have mentioned before, that there were a lack of privacy controls, so anyone who had internet access could see whatever you post and whatever you have on your profile on Ask. All the blocking and reporting settings were very weak, and the guidelines were barely there, and especially the moderation of accounts were, nearly non-existent. So they really needed to do something about that. And also the anonymous control was a default setting when you create an account on Ask FM, which basically means they encourage kids or users to ask questions anonymously rather than showing them who they are. This then led to many parents protesting against the site and asking for it to be shut down. And there were also petitions to shut the site down everywhere, and also on change.org, as some of us may have used to sign petitions and help others, such as banning guns in America. That is also very significant on change.org. And although many blame the sites, many people also noticed the horrific amount of bullying on social media, which came prominent during the Ask FM era, and that has raised more awareness of how teenagers use social media in the current day, and it has been a major talking point in many schools when I was still in secondary and around the world basically now. And now I'll be talking about how the site and we can improve on this situation. First of all, they can get rid of the anonymous mode. This is actually a very big ask for them to do that, and it means that they get rid of their main selling point. But I am very sure that if they do that, there will be a significant decrease in the cases of bullying on Ask FM. As teens, a lot of teens, I'm sure, are afraid to insult each other face to face and tend to do it behind each other's back. So therefore they lie behind the anonymous mode and they rely on it to actually do the insults. And another solution is to monitor all the data. I believe since they're already taking a lot of information from us, why don't they show more initiative to help users crack down cases of bullying or any reports? I personally feel like it wouldn't be too hard to track down the real names or information of users that are bullying others from the information that they already have. By just having just a little section in their company entirely working on reports and tracking down abusive people on their platform can make the whole thing be more positive and the community be more positive. And I think that's a really good solution that they should look into. Also, the basics of the site has to be more stronger. The privacy settings, just to allow the users to control their privacy and who sees it, that is major. unlike Facebook at that time, they were really working on that, and AskFM had to do that as well. Also, the verification system when you're creating an account should be stronger than this, and there shouldn't be so many fake accounts on AskFM, as well as maybe as well get rid of the guest mode, and all users are required to sign in to ask questions, therefore reducing the amount of bullying anonymously. And also making reporting and guidelines more clear so that the users actually feel safe while using the app, and not having to fear that they're going to get bullied, they're going to get degraded by the society around them. However, another solution that I found is actually another app that is similar in the way that they also utilize an anonymous mode. This app is called Whisper, and this app allows users to socialize around confessions, and of course they do this anonymously, and they post it as an image form with text overlaying on it. And this app really tries to create a positive community, and where people can talk about issues, personal issues, and raise awareness for mental health issues such as depression in the society, which I think is very good, as I feel like mental health issue is not talked about enough in this current day. And after all the reports of the suicides, AskFM have not yet taken the site down, but back in the end of 2013 they released a statement that they will actually try and improve on the privacy and safety of the site, which would later on be implemented in 2014. And upon going back to the site, to my surprise, they have completely rebranded the site, tried to take back all the bad memories, tried to get rid of all the bad memories, and rebranded the site with this vibrant pinkish purple, and also completely changed the logo from what was a dark blue logo with some green to this vibrant AskFM. And it is also very clear that they were trying to create a more positive space for users, as all the guidelines are highly visible, and the homepage actually ensures that they now do care about your safety, having the safety center and advisory board be one of the very first things you can see, as in the screenshot at the bottom. It is bright red, and you can click on it to find out more information. And there are a few videos on the site as well which actually talk about mental health, which I feel like is a very big step forward for the site. However, the anonymous mode is still in fact there. And after all that's happened, that leaves us with the question on whether this application is still ethical given all the suicides and all the negativity that has been happening around it, and whether in the end it should be shut down completely. And that's me. Thank you very much for listening. These are all the references that I've used, and this is a photo of me, realistic photo. Thank you very much.